I've done this during the day today, but I've once again found too many other things to do. How are you, Micro Man? Glad to have you with me, my man. You might have noticed, if you have been on the GitHub, I had a bit of a problem. I tried to revert again back to a previous state and got it in a bit of a mix-up, so I've made an RPG2 repo, which is the one I'm in right now. And so this should be, I think, identical to where we left it last night. Although, hang on, did I change it? Yeah. Yes, I have. Here's where I changed it. This is the only thing I had to change. It's twice that. And now we may have, I may have to resize this window a bit. It's not very good like that, is it? There we go. And now it should just, any object, yeah, there we go. So it knows when we're colliding. That's as far as I got. And as you can see, it's not perfect because it goes from my left, top left of my player at the moment. Now there's more than one way of, the first collision I want to deal with, because of course when you go into the town here like this, you don't have to worry so much about the collision, you just have to put the player into the town screen. Good evening, Specky. Glad you're here from the start, man. Good to have you with me. I didn't get anything done during the day. I was hoping to, but never got around to it. But as you can see, it's colliding with any object, but only our top left. So that's something we can address later. You know, just add some width to the player in the collision detection. As I was just saying, there's two ways of, like, forget the trigger collision, as I call it, where you're allowed to walk in and then you just get warped to another level or whatever else. Or if you wanted to pick up a heart, for example, or whatever. But for trees or rocks, you want to block them. You don't want them to be even walking into the tree. And my first instinct was to do the target position thing. So instead of, it would involve me changing all my movement code, so that it actually moves an invisible version of me first, tests for a collision, and if it doesn't find one, then it allows you to move. And that will definitely work, but it's not so easy to do, and I tried it a bit earlier in a rush and I failed and had to revert back because I changed quite a few things. Like, all of the movement code needs changing basically in that case. But then I had a thought, and I haven't tried yet, but how about if we just keep recording the previous position, and then when we find a collision we instantly snap back to the previous? And I think that might work, and it might be easier to do. So that's what I'm going to have a go at. And worst case scenario is I will have to just revert again, download a previous, well, this copy of it. What I tried to do earlier was change all these to be next. So I'd made an NX and an NY for next position. And I had to change all that, and then after we check collision, if there was none, then we have to sync the two together. And that should work, but I managed to fail it. And had it so that, well, it just buggered the code out. I could walk off the map all of a sudden, and it wasn't stopping me colliding when I collided with the tree anyway, so I got peed off with that. I think I'm going to do previous X instead. And I'll put 0, but we're going to sync that before we start the update loop. In fact, Let's just make life simple. Oh, of course it'll be a word as well, not a byte. Let's make my life simple on myself for now and just put them the same as the position. In basic. Yeah, that's my normal approach. Sort of similar to reading the edge of the screen. The edge of the screen is a bit different though. If you look, I just check that. Well, yeah, similar to how we've done it. I get what you're saying. I check it before and just exit out of the loop or out of the routine. This way is equally valid though. I have done it in the past in old games where I made it on Windows. This was what approach I took before and it did work for me. And it could end up being quite a lot simpler to implement. So I'm going to try it first. In a nutshell, all we have to do is find the right place to sync these two twice. Basically, first you sync the previous. Well, I think you do that last. And then, well, yeah, that's as simple as that. And then only if we get a collision, we just go back to the previous. I'm going to try that. So in the update loop, after we've moved, okay, micro, no problem, mate, no problems. I think it should be after the collision check, actually. I've been known to get these all back to front quite often. I can get myself in a right tizwas with this. But it's actually quite simple. So I'm going to call this check collision solid instead. It's only going to look for solid stuff. For now, we'll pretend everything's solid that isn't grass. Call this collided solid. The downside with this approach, like I say, hopefully is more simpler to implement. But you might, when you're walking toward, you might have seen it in other games, I certainly have. Like when you're walking towards a solid object, it'll spring in and out of it just a little bit, instead of just not letting you walk onto it. Oh yeah, I do hope that went okay as well. It must have not gone too bad if you're here. Alright, so it's going to snap our position back to the previous one. And then we set the previous there. If there was a collision, it's going to be the same already, but no biggie. Let's just try it, innit? I'll be surprised if it works straight away like that. It does work though, yeah. It works perfectly. So, as I say, it's only the left side of the player right now, so that's why it thinks you're gliding like that. But if I go from this angle, it's like that. But you see how simple that was compared, and actually for this game, it's absolutely perfect. And it's just reminded me of the it's just oh, scope good. That's good. I think you're talking about the hospital there. The problem I had with the other version I wrote with the target position, as I call it, you know, the pre-check. I walked. It worked. I remember it now. I walked into the tree and I could not escape it, so I'd forgotten one step. But this is better, if you ask me. This is actually smooth as butter. I think the problem would arise is if I put the player to speed to 2. I've got it at 1 conveniently right now. Let's say we had to have it at 2 though. It's still fine. Okay, so the next thing to do would be to add the width. And it's not as simple as that because we're checking just the background cell. That is fast. That's the only problem as well. I haven't thought of a way around this yet. The speed is either 1 or 2. You can't really have 1.5, of course. So I'd have to somehow do something similar that I've done with the camera. If I wanted, I should probably do the exact same thing I've done with the camera, and then the transition between camera movement and player movement would be almost exactly the same. Because now, I mean, that's quite slow. I may end up redoing the movement, to be honest. And like I say, this was all just an experiment anyway. But you see, look, now I'm stuck in there. And actually, the movement speed's only 1, so there's been a problem. And I believe the problem was the camera moved. Oh no, I remember what the problem is. The problem is calculate world position. This to-do note. This only works on the left side of the screen if X is over 255. This breaks. It's not the most informative note, but it's not bad. In this instance, instead of with the previous collision check for this, we had to check, is the most significant bit set, and if it is the other object's most significant bit set. But this time, what we need is, if the player's significant bit is set, we need to add 255 to this. No, not that. To this. So A would need to have it added there. So that's going to be a good solution for that. Where is the most significant bit? Let me remind myself. This, X8. That's referring to the 9th bit of X. It starts from 0. So there's 0 to 7. There's 8. So it's in attribute 2. So I know what I want to do here. I want to say if MSB is set or equals 1, add 255 to A. Else do nothing, else carry on. So, but I need to I want to keep what's in A already. That's the problem. Perhaps I could just push it to the stack. No, that's no good, because when I pop it back, it's going to reset, even if I added it. I could always load that afterwards. So we'll check this first. And that's in player attribute 2. We can use the bit command. I think it's bit 0, I just looked at it. Forget how to use the bit command all of a sudden, but I believe that's how to check bit 0 in A. And then the Z flag will be the opposite of whatever that bit is containing. So if this bit contains a 1, the Z flag will be not set. And then we'll call something I'm about to make called like add I'm just wondering what to call this now. I'll just call it add 255 to A. Sod it. Does what it says on the tin then. So let's have a look at this. And we don't want to jump actually, we want to call. Because we want to come back to where we were. We want to come back to here when we return. And I don't need that call instruction there. I don't know what I'm doing with that. That's how it should appear. A already contains this value. Well, we don't want that. So it's not add. Let's just name it calc world pos add MSB value. That'll probably make more sense in the end. But instead of saying what the function's doing, we're sort of explaining why we're using it. So it's looking at bit 0 of that byte. If that bit is set to 1, we're going to call this, and that's going to set A. Hang on. We now need to load A. We probably want to do that right there. We're already doing. So that won't affect the flags or the Z. I'm just going to double check that just to make sure it doesn't affect it, but I'm 99% sure it doesn't. Takes a long time to load. While I'm waiting, I'm just going to carry on coding. Oh, now it's loaded. No flags are altered except in the case of the IR registers. No, I or R registers. Okay, should be alright. That's what I'm going to do, yeah. Yeah, I said 255, didn't I? 256 is what I meant, yeah. Good evening, Moz. Good to see you, mate. I had one silver lining out of the lockdown or pandemic. Like, I haven't been able to watch my local footy team in years. I used to go. I watched it on a stream. It was pretty cool. And they won in the last minute. Yeah, so the tricky bit is there's nothing really tricky about adding 256, but I'm just making sure that it's adding it to the right value. So we're going to check that, but then we add to A this. Oh, I haven't really been paying too much attention to that. Luckily, we're on the way up. We've been going down for years, but the last couple of years we're looking good. And I just watched it. They're looking amazing compared to the competition, to be honest. I think we'll go up again. I hope so. But yeah, I've heard about that, but I don't know much about it. I'm not sure if I support it or not. Probably not. So right, this is going to be the low byte of X. And then we're going to add 256 if this is 1. And that's it. Do we have to do the same with Y? No, we don't, because the player never goes over 240 on the Y. So just to show you that you guys that weren't here, we're able to hit this tree now. It detects it. It's perfect. The limitation I'm having here that I haven't addressed is it's only working with my top left corner. When I'm moving right, I probably need to do something slightly different. What the problem we're trying to fix right now is when the certain bit, what's it called? Oh look, it's happened again. I think it is to do with the camera actually. What I've just fixed without even knowing it, I've fixed something different, and I'm just going to check that now. Is if you get all the way to the right of the map, yeah, it probably is crap. I'm not supporting it if it's just supporting a few clubs. So that seems like it's not working, but I think it is. If there was 2 rows of treat, I'm going to put 2 rows to find out. Yeah, I'm definitely not supporting it really. They should be giving less money to the Premier League as it is, and more to the EFL, and even lower. Only say take 10% off the Premier League and share that out between the rest of the leagues. I'm just going to shrink the text because I've got to work on that map. And I don't like it with that huge font. Oh, it's a bit of a bugger, but I can do it pretty easily here. My computer's quite bad. Oh my god. Oh my goodness me. Didn't mean to do that. It's really not liking it. I'm going to be buying a new computer soon. I've pretty much had enough of this old one now. There we go. It gets there in the end though. It's like Holly out of Red Dwarf. Right, I've got 2 rows of trees there now. Because what I'm expecting to happen is that I can walk into the first tree and then it's going to block me. But I just wanted to confirm that so I can move on to the next problem. No, it doesn't. Okay. Yeah, it was a lot of numbers. So much data sat there. Like I say, I'm just messing around. I couldn't scale this into a full game, I don't think, at all. I'd struggle. But what I might be able to do is strip the level right down. I want to make Red Dwarf sprites and then make a couple of small levels where you have to like figure your way out of a mission or something. Items and I actually expected that to work, to be honest. That was the world position thing. Where was it? Here. I was thinking that. Yes, Becky. Or that's one idea, but I was also thinking of keeping the Final Fantasy theme, and you have a team of 4 anyway in that, yeah. And then you get into the battles and it's side on, and I thought it could be quite fun doing that. So they're all like just one team, and then obviously all the enemies you encounter would be the ones out of the show. Quite fun, but really big. You know, it's a big ask to get that going. I think I'll just take this time to explain what I've done here in case someone wonders, because this is how I fixed yesterday's problem. It was just this 4 line of codes twice. I was dividing some other way, SRL or something. SRA? Can't remember. And all I had to do was this RRCA. I think it moves it into the carry. It would rotate, and that's why you have to do this and here first to get rid of the first 3. If I was going to rotate 4 times, I'd have to do 4 zeros. So that's it, basically. Long story short, it'll just divide A by 8. That's it. But I didn't realise about this trick of anding just before you do it. It is clever, isn't it? Because I used to worry about using that because I knew it was faster. But I thought I'd get the 1s back here and it would be obviously the wrong value. And I just didn't think of doing that. But I read it on that Malcolm site. I'm struggling to see why that doesn't work. Have I got this back to front? I'm tempted to move the player over to the right, but of the world, but I think I'd have to move the camera at the same time. They don't sync up automatically, so I could end up breaking the game. Can't be bothered. Just walk over there. So it would have been okay if it stopped here. This bit works. I'm stuck there. It doesn't like that bush. I was surprised that worked. Actually, no, that's how it should. No. It needs to be NZ. It's confusing with all these double negatives. By looking at that bit there, the flag of Z gets set to the opposite of what's contained in bit 0. So I want to know if it's a 1. So I have to look at not set. Yeah, so I have got it right now. It was just weird how it worked with that white rock at the top. I believe the problem I'm getting, other than the fact that this tree doesn't block me, I don't know why that's happening, but then there's an even worse problem where you walk into here and you get stuck. Oh, I can still go down and then it blocks you there adequately. It's really strange. Actually, I'm not getting stuck now. Actually, that is pretty fine now. It's because it's only the top left bit of me that I'm checking. I need to check all my character cells. Like all of the player has 4 cells. Oh, I've just missed your messages. Sorry about that. Camera numbers. Do you think so? Okay. It doesn't matter where they appear. I mean, I've already got that text box at the bottom, so that would be the first place I'd put it. But if you remember, it's broken. I can't remember why. It was quite advanced code. I had to import some of Emuk's plot tile. I guess I could avoid using plot tile if I created some 16 by 16 fonts just for the time being. It's strange because I remember getting this working. It would display this message. So I should only have to call that. However, there's something weird with the next. You know, there's like 3 different layers of hardware. Do you know what I mean? So this was working, but then I've changed some of this stuff around, and then obviously inside these functions, there's also stuff like that. I think maybe not, but init tiles. Look, there's loads of them in here, and perhaps something I did stopped the font from working. Which bank? Fonts. Slot 7, page 32. Looks like there. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Because is that even a bank? Also, I noticed they didn't need that N. We were doing it without that. I don't think that's needed. No, fair enough. I don't know either, but we'll have a go. I don't think I changed any of that. Not sure how that address comes into play. But I see what you're saying about the bank and the slot. I think I already tried this though. I think it was slot 7, wasn't it? Yeah. I think I already tried this. Yeah, I get this crazy problem now. And at one point I wasn't getting this problem. I was doing near enough the same thing in the code, but I was just getting a brown square instead of text, just one brown square. That's how I had it commented out, and that I believe was working just like that before. Try that, innit? Yeah, or I could read. I haven't even tried to read a guide on that yet. You know, you never know though. I won't get too distracted, don't worry. I mean, the thing is, I'm pretty stuck without it. I'd like to be able to display these values. Actually, it's gonna be tricky, even if we get this working. This will only display a string, you know. So if you've got a value that's like 3,000 or 20 or whatever, that's a value. It's not a string. It's quite a big routine, really, to change a value into a string. It certainly is for me, anyway. I don't know how to do that. I reckon it would be easier, in fact, to learn how to use the debugger properly. Where was it anyway? In here, wasn't it? It's definitely sprite attribute 2. It really is. There is a way, I think, to get the ULA screen to overlay your screen. One of these bytes in here, one of these bits on one of them bytes tells it to overlay. I believe. I reckon it's one of these ones, but quickly try and look it up. But even then, I still don't know the ROM routines off the top of my head. I'd have to look them up as well. I've got so many links about the Next now that I can't actually find the links I want when I look through them, so I'm gonna have to somehow organise them. But I'm just looking up them Next registers, trying to find where the big list is. Damn, I had one of them that is like a whole list of Next registers. Because this is it as well. ULA enhanced ULA control register. I just saw it on Google. It's $43. I found it. I could do that as well, Specky, but that's getting into the realms of like a lot of hassle to just see a number. Because I don't want to do that. It could wreck my code. It could make it a lot more complicated. I'm still trying to keep it extreme simple. Right. Here's what I was talking about. As you can see down here, look. Or maybe not. This is just palettes. Maybe that's not it actually. That's a shame. Is it then 6.8 ULA control register? Let's try this one. Here we go. So currently we've got disable the ULA output, and that was an EMOOC advice, so I'm sure there's a good reason for that. Funnily enough, all the other ones we've got are 0, so ULA plus enabled is not set. I wonder if we put a 1 0 there instead of 0 0 that we've got now. Oh! Okay, let's have a little play with it then. I wish I could remember how to write a string in ULA. We've got a warning. Player 232. That could be our problem. Oh, I'm in the wrong file. I didn't notice the warning a minute ago, but it was probably there. Oh, of course you can't add 256. It's 255 you've got to add, isn't it? Is that enough, or do I have to add another one after it? I think that's enough. I'll put that other byte back to how I found it. I am going to mess with them though and figure that out so we can just produce a string quite easily. You know, like you were saying, there's going to be a routine for it, isn't there? And I believe there's a routine for printing certain size values as well. I've done it before with the basic score routines. I've got it in that Jonathan Caldwell book, so I could look it up. If I had it all working and I knew it would work, you know, the 48k ROM calls, I would do it straight away, but I'm not quite sure it'd be that easy. I've just forgotten what I just did. Oh yeah. So I reckon it was rolling back to being a 1, what I was just doing. But we got rid of that warning now. This stuff only affects when you're in the far edge of the screen, so even this isn't in the UI, in the most significant bit of X. It's about now it goes to it, and it still doesn't work, sadly. It's interesting that that works there. That's really odd. I genuinely thought that would work. Yeah, that's just that cell thing. I've got a feeling I have to do that check with all 4 cells, or if not, it is a directional thing. Oh, I can't believe that. I thought that would work. Whoops. Am I adding it to the right thing? Nah, see, you can't do that, can you? It'll take it over 255. That's the problem. It's got to be divided by 8 anyway. If we can add it after the divide, we can just add 32 or whatever an eighth of a byte is. I think 32, isn't it? Yeah. Alright, so we've loaded B with A there. A is now freed up. Like Micro suggested, let's just put add MSB. That'll do. So yeah, B was what holding it, holding what was in A. A equals this, so we don't want to add to that. We want to load A with that. And then we want to add BA, add AB, sorry. Load BA again. So now we're back where we started, but we've got the stuff added. Right, it might do us. Missed your message, I think. Maybe. I mean, it's all depends on when you call this collision routine, I suppose. The scrolling really occurs in here, so it's probably stopped. It's probably just happened. And then we check. I believe it was riddled with problems what we had before, but I think that's actually pretty good now. So what are we doing there? Get the small byte. Divide by 32. Store in B. Make A 32 if it is needing to be. Add the original value back. Load it back into B. Can't even remember exactly why, but for good reason. Basically storing that at the end. I reckon it's good now. I hope. Said that 5 times though. No, it ain't. Darn. Wonder why not. Because it is just X we want to add it to. Oh, of course. We don't want that stuff to happen unless we're actually doing that. Don't know if that'll fix it though, but I'm surprised it was not doing some weird stuff when we weren't in the most significant bit now. No view? No view? Do you mean the size of the font? On my preview it's showing. I'm just going to close VS Code and reopen it, see if that helps. I hope that. I've been suffering with some computer problems. It seems slower than ever recently. Did it really? Are you sure it's not just me stood still doing nothing? I actually did expect it to work the last few times. Still not going to work. What a bummer. Right, in that case, I'm going to change it from doing the when we collide we set it back to the previous. I'm going to make it do that flip as well. So we'll see it flip on the Y if there is a collision, because I've got a weird feeling it's detecting a collision but for some reason not stopping us. Oh no, it's not. So there it is, see. It's strange. I would say that bit there is in the most significant area as well. Maybe it's just inside. It's a shame, it all works perfectly other than that when you're over this side. Whew. I'm convinced it's to do with this area here of the code. I think it would be given you're going left. Yes, it's to do with it being far over onto the right side of the screen, because how the screen's laid out now, because you've got the full window, you don't have a boundary, a border. There's actually 40 cells width, which is 320 pixels. So of course that no longer fits in one byte. So when we're here, even when we're here, we're actually still in the small byte area. But as soon as we get to about here, we're now in the MSB area. I'm going to have to check my use of the bit. Perhaps that's what I've done here wrong. This bit right here, and also I just had one other thing to check as well. Oh yeah, maybe it is Z. I'll just try it with Z just in case. I don't think that's going to work. Oh look, it's detecting one there already. It's definitely something broke now. Ah, it does get the tree now though. Isn't that odd? Yeah, it's found one there. How bloody weird. That was interesting that it found the tree. NZ. I'm gonna have to look up on Z80. I'm pretty sure it's the correct way of using it. So it certainly looks like I'm using that correctly from the document. I could actually not use A, just noticed. And do that as well. Don't know why that wouldn't work. Alright, instead of on collide solid doing that mirror thing, this is my insane debugging now coming in, caveman style. I'm going to put this in add MSB. Just make sure this doesn't use B. So it just uses A. So I think that should stop flipping me. No, it doesn't. See, that should be happening now. I'm sure that should be flipping me every frame as soon as I'm in the high bite. So it seems to me this isn't getting called. And in fact, I could stop doing caveman debugging and I could just put a breakpoint there. And I can tell you now it's not going to happen because it would have flipped the sprite otherwise. But alright, so let's try just in update at the end. We'll just check that byte the exact same way, that bit. So it's going to go out of the, it's going to exit this whole update loop if that bit 0 is 1. So, oh hang on, yeah, that's not what I want to do. I hate these double negative parts. Why the and? Yeah, I was explaining that earlier, I'll tell you again though. It's quite cool, I just found it out. So, however many RRCs we're going to have to do, we have to make sure that they're 0, otherwise they'll reappear up here. So of course this just leaves the remaining ones. They were going to get rolled away anyway. But I only just learnt that myself as well last night. Of course they don't actually matter if you're just going to roll them away. Well, I think it is. It is, because otherwise they appear in the high end. I spent a little while experimenting with it as well last night. Where's that site? I'm trying to find it now. I can't find it, it's typical. But I definitely read it somewhere last night. I think I wrote Z80 divide is what I did into Google. So I'll do that again. Here you go, I found it. You watching micro? I'm going to put it on the screen. This here. I need to roll a ciggy anyway, so I'm going to leave that on the screen a second. I can confirm that I tried it without the and it didn't work. Yeah, so anyway, back to this silly, weird little test I'm doing. I'm just making sure that I'm getting it the right way around. With the... I want to return if we're not MSB this time. So set, yeah, that's going to do it. So I'm hoping that when we get over to the far right of the screen, it does a break, but I've got a horrible feeling it won't. Yeah. I can't imagine why. Because it's definitely working. That's how we can draw the player there. The player wouldn't be getting drawn correctly otherwise. Shift right 3 times, no carry. That's what I was basically trying to find a way of doing when I found that. I was using SRL or SRA, I can't remember, but it didn't work. I tried a few different combos and then landed on that one that did work. And as well, the added bonus is I read that it's actually the fastest way of doing it as well. It's 1 byte instead of 2, the instructions. And if you do it 3 times, obviously that's 6 instead of 3. I'm wondering why this breakpoint's not getting hit now though. When we have the MSB. Let's just try it with A. Down here. It will work. I can guarantee it. We're already blocked off from there anyway. But I could add a line of trees here, but we can already see that the house works. Of course there's this bug where it's only the top left. That's a real minor thing to worry about. The biggest worry right now is, well, it's not seeming to know when we're in the far right because of that right MSB. With Y, you don't need... Oh, I'm stuck there now. With Y, you don't need to worry because he never goes above 240. The problem with the collision is also occurring here, so we can simplify. This. If we solve this little problem, we've solved the collision. There should be a way to get this breakpoint to trigger when we're in the MSB. It's definitely bit 0 despite attribute 2, and you can see that we actually use it here, and it knows that it draws you in the right place, so we know that it's correct at this time. We set it in the move right. Here we basically add in... Oh, interesting. See, this is working. It's drawing in the right place. Ah, we can use player's position instead. Did you? Sorry, dude. I can't read all the comments. It's really hard. We don't need to worry about the bit in that case. It's just compare 0. Return if it is, yeah. Sorry, dudes. Sometimes I just go down these routes. Oh, look at that. Why is that hitting that straight away, though? Ah. Yeah, it should be returning. I think it was that breakpoint that triggered. No, it can't have been. Anyway, let's do the same down here. I know what I've done wrong up the top as well. So A is actually available. We can use it. There we go. There we go. Delete that. You changed is not to 0. Oh, yeah, it's working. I just took the breakpoint out. But that's working perfectly now. We just need to sort them other character cells out. We need to either check every character cell, or more likely, when we're going right, we'll check the far right one. When we're going left, etc., etc. When we're going down, we'll check the bottom one. I mean, that works perfectly anyway with the bottom. Oh no, that's a different collision. Yeah, see, the bottom isn't good enough yet. We need to check the bottom cell. No, you can't. I wished you could just do that, but you can't, because we're checking the cell. The colour, like the contents of the cell that the origin is situated in. Normally I check if we've missed an object, so it's easy. You can add offsets and stuff like that, width. You are, yeah, but you can't. There's no width added. Where can I add the width? Here's the collision. Here's where we check. So right now in just remind myself how we're doing it. So we've got our player position. We just look at that cell. So we'd have to add one here, wouldn't we? And then what happens when you go in right or left? I had an idea in my head a moment ago how to do this, but then I got stuck on that other thing and it made me forget it. But it's quite simple. I guess we could do this again in this routine. If it doesn't find a collision with this cell, we just check the next one. I think that's probably the best. Like that, when I say the best, it'll probably give us the best result in the game. I don't know whether it's the best, like most optimal way. But I mean, a way of using less processor would be to have one that only checks when you're going right. You only need to check one cell. You don't need to check the left side. Likewise, when you're going down, you only need to check one of the bottom cells. The downside of that is I'd have a load of similar looking routines, one for each direction. But the plus side is I'd only have to call that when we move, straight after we move. I could call it here when we move right. Inside do move right, just do it straight there. So if you're standing still, that frees up the process, I don't think that's really worth worrying about. This is only a test anyway, and it's not meant to be a scalable into a game just yet. I mean, it might. There's no reason why we couldn't, but it might take a long time. Don't forget, there's going to be a whole bunch of these as well. Massive load of them. All the different solid objects. Of course, if I was really clever, I could pack all the solid objects into the first, for example, the first load of cells, so that it'd be interesting to see how platform scrollers read items in front of them like blocks. I'd say they have a world address like we have. Most likely. I mean, of course, there's no one way of doing anything. Probably out of all the games, quite a lot of different ways have been employed over the years. The block, you'd have this is just one way I can think of, but you'd have collision question mark block. Then you'd check the player's direction. Is he moving up or down? Then you know if he's hit the bottom or the top, don't you? And then in that, it could call another routine, spawn coin. But then you can abstract it even further, a bit like we've done here with solid. It just checks any solid item. I mean, ideally, I'd make this, if I was really clever, I'd have this routine so that you'd specify the world somewhere else, and this, and all of them, and it would be able to go through with it all already in the registers, you see, and then you wouldn't need to duplicate code. Detection. I mean, I've written I'm not even lying, maybe 100 games with collision detection, and I've done it different in so many different times. I've had really advanced ones and really basic. That does look like a cool tutorial. He's summarised in some ways. I mean, I wrote a per pixel perfect collision detection. I could do that if I really wanted to. It's not impossible. You basically split the cell into a single array, each one, and you find the element you're checking, and just check that they're both transparent, or if one of them, or both of them are not transparent, I should say. We haven't got any transparency, so that would be pointless in this project. And yeah, we haven't, everything fills one block or more, exactly in one block at a time. Yeah. In C# and C++, I've written way more complicated collision before. My target right now is just to do the most simple form of everything. I want to be able to make games, but not have it. I'm not trying to write something that's going to blow everyone's mind by how realistic the gravity simulation is or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? I'm just trying to write basic games. If I wanted to do that, I'd probably use Unity or Unreal Engine, if I'm honest. I'm just having a debate in my head here. I was quite happy with that taxi demo as well, yeah. Don't worry, I'll definitely be going back to those as well. Definitely. My idea though really is to do ZX Spectrum, which I've done, next, which I want to spend quite a bit of time on, then Game Boy and Master System, and then I want to try and port something like that Space Taxi to all of them. That's like a goal that I set that I'm not 100% sure I'll ever see through, but that's the idea at the moment. But at the moment, I'm really happy with the next. I think about it, it's coming out next year. I'd love to have like 3 really nice games made by then. It would be cool, wouldn't it? I would love that. It'd be a great challenge. I mean, I'm talking in years there though. It'd probably be well over a year till I start all of that stuff. But within a year or two, I would have hoped that I might have started delving into that sort of stuff. But right now, I'm still learning the next. It's nice to talk about doing Game Boy and Master System, but I've realised by doing the next, there's so much to learn every time you change system. It's not that easy to just hop around. Just because you know Z80 a little bit doesn't mean you can just jump onto any Z80 console, unfortunately. I tried it on Sega Master System. I managed to print a string to the screen, but that took me like several hours to figure that out, and then I gave up for now. I'm just having a debate whether, in my mind, whether I should just check every cell in here. I think it's easier to do that. Make sure I do it properly. Yeah, we can just add A1 there for a start. Now that's probably going to fix our left-right motion, but up and down will still be a bit horrible. Alright, well it's better. It's not perfect, but it was noticeable in the towns, very much so. It's almost like it's free. I don't mind that. I can live with that, for this sort of game. Like I said, it's not an action game. It's not like pixels count. Do you know what I mean? That was a bit of a strange one. I was able to walk through it there, but it's not bad. Try adding 2 to see what it's like. Yeah, you see, strangely enough, that seems perfect now, doesn't it? That's lined up. Because the artwork, I know off the top of my head that that's actually where the cell does end exactly. Oh, don't like that you can just walk through it sometimes, that volcano. It's very odd. But other than that, it's working sweet. If we do the same thing, get rid of that though. Just add one here instead. I'm sure this is a horror show for anyone who knows what they're doing, because I'm just duplicating code and it probably is really hogging the CPU. Oh, I could walk straight through that hole. Oh, I can walk straight through everything. That's strange. Okay, so it seems that didn't work what I just added. Although it did work actually. Why do we have to add 2 to make it the correct amount? It gets broken down into cells. I find that really odd that we have to add 2. And I'm guessing it didn't work there because I was slightly out of line. Why does it work there though? It's so odd. And then it's okay. So it's that one that's the problem. I think what we have to do to fix that is copy that again with the add 2 on the X. And also add 2 on the Y. So now we've got every cell covered there. I didn't like how I could walk through that hole. Yeah, that's not good. It's really odd. Because the up works and there works fine. Oh, it's so strange. It was almost as if it's only when the camera's moving, isn't it? Like we were mentioning earlier. Yeah, that's what it is. It's when the camera moves. Darn it. Found another bug. 2 more bits of work. Tea and toast time. Get in. What do you do for a living then, Specky? You're still here. So when the camera moves, that's done in move. It particularly happens when we move up and down, but let me just have a look when we're moving left and right with the camera. Can I make the bug happen then? Oh, that's why I was walking through that volcano at the time, isn't it? Yeah. So it's definitely when the camera's moving. Horse photographer, I remember you saying now. Awesome. Sounds like a fun job. Cross country event. Sounds quality. That does sound fun. I wish I could get a job where I enjoy it, at the same time. I've tried loads of times, but so how does it move the camera? I'm gonna have to reassess all of this. If I go back to the collision, it does have, it mentions the camera, I think. Yeah, here. So this is our problem. Yeah, that's bound to happen with anything specky in it. Even if you're well into football and you manage to land a job taking photos of football, you'd soon get bored of it, wouldn't you? But yeah, definitely. But I had an office job for 10 years doing insurance brokering, commercial insurance, and it was a bloody nightmare, I'm telling you. Didn't earn anything. I think here's our problem. And it really does complicate things, this. It's because our previous position code that sets us back. wonder if I do this before move. Used to work for eShore. My company used. Oh look, now I can't even collide. eShore. I mean, the financial crash. My company used that as an excuse. Like they kept saying it was going to be a pay rise, and then the crash happened, and they kept moaning about it. Even though they were financial brokers as well, so they made a mint out of that credit crunch. You know, loads of people were investing money at the time, to be honest, because it was all at a well-timed low. That sounds brilliant, man. Do you know my mate who I met online as well, called Tom? He had no experience or anything, but he set up a television production company, and just pretended, you know, it's his own business. And he started getting contracts, and now he does like MMA in Britain. He films it, and he hosted a cricket event, and he done it all from his home. So they were basically piping in the content. He had to pipe it back out, and he got paid $2,000 for the weekend. It's crazy. I was like, mate, give me a job. But I haven't been forthcoming with that yet. Made me sick. This code I've written is so fragile because this bloody camera and the way it sets previous. What a bugger. Yeah, that's what reminded me, the way you said it. It reminded me of him. Took a lot of hard work, he tells me, you know, setting it all up and then applying for stuff. Been out 10 years, sweet as. Yeah, well, I'm sure it will come back. I know they've got racing near me. I live in Newton Abbot. Pretty sure it's still on, but it's less regular. But I'm not much of a horse racing guy. I don't know everything about the calendar. Maybe it has been cancelled. I'm sure there's an easy fix for this. It's the camera position. So it scrolls the camera. Yeah, see, what happens is the player doesn't move if you're scrolling. So it scrolls an object that's solid onto us. And our previous position has remained unchanged. So it obviously doesn't set us. I bet if we put flip back in there, in the collision, I reckon it will show us a collision. So it's the volcano, the foot. Yeah, see? It worked fine. So it's detecting the collision. Oh, I'm stuck. The problem is that when it's scrolling, the previous position is buggered. So my lovely little quick fix, because it was bloody quick if you were watching the start of the video, it was really quick to fix, but it's just met its match here. There's got to be some way of doing it though. Maybe if we scroll, we have to somehow affect the previous. That's all we have to do. So the scrolling happens in here, as does the moving. So one or the other. Moving the player. If the player moves, it's all fine. Previous works, and then we're all good. But because the tile map moves instead when you scroll, this is still the same. If we were to set previous, it checks it here, sets you back to previous. Yeah, so there might be a quick fix here. If we get previous, which is 16-bit, I can't think sometimes. Oh, it's up, so I'm doing here, so Y. Go DE. Excuse me. Ah, it gets even more complicated. Because of that scroll speed thing. Might be alright to do this still though. So when we're moving up, we're going to add 1 to the previous. So that's actually below. And this gets reset every frame anyway. So it's not like it's going to continually grow. Because this doesn't actually tick up. This only ticks up a fraction by 40. You know, 40 out of 255. But I think it might just work anyway. Because on the time where it does tick up, it will still add 1. And then we basically just have to do the same for each of them. Let's just try that. Okay, I got rid of that mirror flip thing, did I? Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good, Spec. That sounds really good, actually. It's working fine, look. Ah, we get stuck though quite often. This is the next bug to deal with. I find it odd that we can't move. You should be able to move left, shouldn't you? It might be best to do what I said as well, split. So when we're moving left, we only check the left side. And obviously, etc. for the rest of it. I'm just going to play around, make sure it works with that scrolling somewhere else. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, but we get stuck every single time. Hmm. Hmm. I've got a weird idea. The same thing we had about the twos earlier. I can't even remember what it was. Something to do with the collision, wasn't it? But I can actually just see how that does. We'll do that. Still stuck. Definitely. In that case, I think, I hate to say it, but I think I'm going to split all these routines into. Well, it's a start. We can look at doing it better another time. You know, sorting them back out into one nice routine. God, I'm getting some real lag on my computer, like even on the mouse movement and stuff. I think it's on its way out, to be honest. The whole computer. It was running really slow all day. I mean, I've got it overpowered, like it's got a tiny PSU backup. I've got GitHub, and that's the main stuff. I'm sure the SSD will be alright, but I think I've got the power supply overloaded. I've got it's a Dell Optiplex 7010 ultra small form factor, but I've got a GPU rammed into it, so the case is taken off, and the power supply is only 45 watts. And then I've got loads of devices plugged in, you know, like wireless keyboard, um, mouse, loads of other stuff, you know, headphones. So it could go at any minute, but I hope it'll last a while. So which one's the up one anyway? Up can be that for now. Down is actually, let's check both. Yeah, copy that. Left, well, that's the same as what we just had in down. Oh, up, I mean. then right. Okay, so right actually looks perfect. Left needs so we do want to add it to the Y, but we don't want to add it to the X. Down, add it to Y, add to Y and X, yep. Up, we just want to add to X. Oh. So I'm going to double check I did that right, because I might have started thinking X was at the top a minute ago. Up, nothing on Y, nothing on Y, one of them with X, good. Down, Y, Y, and just one X, that's good. Left looks perfect. As does, no, see? Yeah, that's wrong. I had a sneaking feeling one was wrong. That's better. Ah, I have an error. Of course, I'm not even calling them, am I? Yeah, that's what it is. Calculate world position. I might have to bring both of these in and do it both. So when I say bring them in, I'm going to do them on all of the different move routines. Right, there's fine. Watch it make no difference whatsoever, but it's worth a try. This. Here's where the move happens. As long as it's after that, that's what we want to do. That was correct, what I said. Alright then. Hopefully that's okay. At least it loaded. That worked. Ah, no. I would have thought it did, to be honest. It's that weird problem again. So basically I've got the same problem that I had, but I've just managed to make it go even further into. Get rid of them for now, I don't need them to remind me. Might put these back to 1. I think that's what's doing it, you know. Before I put them back to 1, I'll change these back to 2. Oh, they are still 2. I should have a constant, and I would have. Well, it might do it. It might just. I actually don't think this will work, but it's gotta be worth a try. Yes, I am, mate. It's so weird that. So that's done nothing. I find that weird that it's even worse, actually. So I'm moving right. I just wonder if 3 actually, what that would do. It's just giving us too much space, and it still messes up. Oh, it's not stuck there though. Oh, it wasn't scrolling, was it? Of course, left isn't going to work. I didn't change left. Weird. It's even weirder. Oh no, that's not scrolling. Yeah, it's weirder that you don't get stuck on left. Definitely some problems. Again, I cannot imagine this. This might make it a little tiny bit better, but it's not. It's no solution. Could need a full rework. What a bugger. Just on that scrolling. I might have to rework it completely by doing the target thing, like I said. I wonder though, would that still be affected by this problem? And put all them back to 1, because I believe that's where they should be. And then, do these need to be 2? It certainly seemed they did. Can't imagine why though, especially the Y ones. No. And like I say, when I put the mirror thing on, we know that it did detect it straight away. It's all to do with that way I'm setting back the target position. Nice micro man. I love it. What a shame, eh? Like I need to keep repeating so I don't forget it for tomorrow. The problem is only to do with how I resolve the collision. It's not detecting it that's the problem. And just to prove that, and so I remember it tomorrow, I'm going to put the mirror call in here again. So we know for a fact every time it's detecting a collision. Ah, no it's not, look. Sure it was earlier though. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I forgot. Just look. Oh look. That was strange. Did I manage to stop it scrolling? What causes this then? My memory's going funny because I can't remember whether at one point didn't we have it working with the scrolling collision, but it was making me stick. Oh, the audio's buggered, isn't it? I noticed that the other day. It should be on. How can I test it? Perhaps I have to put it on the top layer. Can't see why that would be the case, but tad crackly is it? It's because I've turned it up too much. I wonder. That might be better, or is that too quiet? I don't know. I have to get it just right for this microphone to sound good. And I've got it cranked up, the gain, which never helps. But, of course, the worst thing is if you can't hear my voice properly. Is that better? Okay, thank you for that information. Excellent. Managed to improve one thing at least. We're not too far off with this. I'm trying to think of a way. I mean, where the camera scrolls, I do find it strange. Like the camera scrolls, but then it checks after that, so why is it even bothered about it scrolling? Where's the movement? This is another stupid caveman style debugging stuff coming out. I'm just wondering if I make that like a factor of 8, so it's always a cell. Well, no, it's nothing to do with it being a cell, but it's always a regular amount of scrolling. Why did I dodge the volcano there? Nah, it literally doesn't even detect a collision, I'm noticing. Don't know, man. There's normally a simple way. It's not that long. I could simplify this down into 1 again. Can you hear it good? Okay, cool. Strangely, it wasn't working. I know exactly what the problem is. I don't think I need to write the whole routine again, to be honest. I'd actually say, if anything, I want to readdress how I scroll the screen, but that's, I'd have start a fresh project to do that, I think. I had an idea until I replied to them comments, and now I've forgotten it. Oh yeah, the only idea I had was the fact that it wasn't even detecting the collision. So let's look at the right one. When you move right, when the camera scrolls, everything goes 1 out of kilter. But which way does it go? It goes to the right. because it moves. The tile map moves, doesn't it? So the player's position suddenly becomes one out of kilter for a while to what we think it is when it wasn't scrolling. But I don't know what I could do about that. I would have thought that this camera thing here would have fixed that actually. And the problem with the reason that's not fixing that is because we set it back here straight after to be the real position on the screen. Maybe we just need a call to check collision in there as well. It might do it. Because that's a scroll. Yeah, see? That's what's happening. Do you see it? It returns here. So it never calls that if it goes to the scroll. In that case, let's just call this bit MR for move right, end. See, no need to panic. Mr. End is here. Just try and make sure I put it into the right place so it doesn't go cack-handed. If I remember right, the left, Captain Mannering's here. The left and right were actually quite different for some reason. I can't be bothered to remember exactly why now, but I'm basically looking for the end where it just basically where it caused the collision here. So here. Ah, bugger, it's not the same with the return, unfortunately. Scroll. Here's where we do the scroll. What a pain. Let's just push AF. Call Z. Pop AF. Oh, I can't. Jump Z, MLN. So we don't need the return. Or was it the brown socket? Yeah, it was the brown socket. That's got to be one of the puzzles in the game. I hope I haven't just cocked it up there. I think it's actually okay what I just did. I'll just test it with the left and right for now. Excellent. Let's get rid of that mirror stuff. How close were we, do you reckon, then, to just going and deleting it all? There we go, that's the cookie. So the only problem for this was, literally the only problem was, when it was going into this routine to actually do the scrolling, it was either jumping back and doing the move, or doing this and then exiting the entire movement loop. So I could have just put a call in every one of these to do the collision if I wanted. But I decided to be a bit fancy with this crap here. And can't even find it now, but you know, I just added an end to the loop. And it seems to be working quite tastily. Caveman debugging does it again. It sure does, man. I'm going to edit this so it is transparent soon, but I don't want to lose it yet, so clubbed my way out of it. Okay, so I've done left and right, didn't I? Let's do up and down. I think this was a lot more simple. Here's the end. Down. Cool. Somehow I managed to get there at the end of each video and complete the task I set out to do almost every time. I don't know how. But for some reason we manage it. It might not be the best way of doing it ever. It probably never is. That's just the add to thing. I could change that if I wanted. I still haven't figured that out. Oh, it's because we're moving one, I think, at the time. So to allow for that extra one that you can move, you have to do it for two. I think that's the reason I'm going to stick with anyway. That's my story, obviously. So in long story short, I'm going to check. Oh, they are already two. No, the up and down aren't. Or the Y, if I remember right. Yeah, there we go. Lovely jubbly. So we've made it more complicated than it needs to be. The code probably could have stayed simpler. But this actually gives us more flexibility with it checking the right and left separately. It does allow us to actually be a bit more tricky with some of it if we want to. So I'm going to stick with it. Superb, this. Oh, did you miss it? Oh no. I'll show you now. It's working perfectly. I have said it twice on this video already, so I'm repeating myself for a third time now, so I won't go too long on it. But long story very short is, this was jumping. So we were either when we were here before, we were returning here, so we were jumping to the tile scroll and never moving, and therefore never checking collision. Yeah, so all we had to do was make sure that even when it called that, well, it was a jump before, but even when it called that, we end up here still. And that's why I thought I was going mad, but if you remember, I had this in the update loop to start with, and it was working, but we were getting stuck. and then I forgot that and thought I was going mad. But now this works. Honestly, I'm the one controlling it here, so I can tell you, you don't get stuck on any corners. Feels pretty much perfect, to be honest. Especially if I was holding like a NES controller now or something, you know, it'd be perfect. Feels perfect. I mean, it's done on a grid basis, so it's not going to be smooth as butter. You know, you never get, like, for example, there it's almost impossible to fit through. In fact, it is impossible because of the adding two thing. So you might be able to get through if it was scrolling at the time you arrived there and you were going diagonal or something. But other than that, yeah. A nice one, Micro. I'll probably be gone within about half an hour at the most. Yeah, I'm just thinking about the next step. Because that limitation I just mentioned, you just have to remember that when you're designing your game. Like, don't make small little gaps like this. And of course, this house wouldn't even be, it's not solid. That's a trigger. So the next thing to do is add triggers. Which is very simple, because it's the same as what we just done. Except for you don't. Where is it? So here's collided solid, yeah? And we set the position back. I don't think it'll work at speed 2. There's a lot of magic numbers in here to worry about. A lot. Because there's some in the TileMap routine as well. Like I say, this is the first Next program I've ever written. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not trying to make a sizable, scalable project that's going to run all different scenarios. I'm just experimenting. And the reason I've used magic numbers is because it makes it simpler at the time to just test it and see it. But it's definitely not scalable. I mean, it might work on speed 2. Speed 2 is not very nice anyway. I have to well, scrolling is unaffected by that look, so that's definitely going to work. It works perfectly, man. I got stuck a bit there where I couldn't go down, but I could still move right to get out of it. So yeah, sweet as. Let's leave it at 2 then. Right then, the next thing is to add the triggers so that we can spawn a new town. You know, we can go into the town scene. Yeah, it was pretty cool, that. Look how easy this is going to be then. Now, that's a nice generic way of doing it. Spawn collided trigger, right? But now, how do we know what trigger it is? We're already comparing here. So it might be worth actually having, saying, collided town. And then collided doorway, for example, you know. But you'd end up with a lot of them. There's no getting around it. You're going to end up with a lot of them in the end if you want a fully made game. But of course you want to reduce. You don't want to duplicate things if you don't need to. But I could have collided trigger. And then in here I could check whether it's a town or a doorway or whatever. Now, I was going on about it earlier. On the tiled world. Not the tiled world. The tile map. Like the definitions of the tiles. So, on the world, these numbers relate to a specific tile, yeah? If I was really, really clever, I could make all my solids be under 40 hex or whatever, and a set number, and then I could just check in this routine if it's under that number, and then it's solid. Right now I've got to check every single one, and we've got to do it on all of these. Just need to pop out for 1 minute. I'll be back in a sec, alright? Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Okay, so yeah, triggers. It's just a case of changing this, really. I think it would be best to have a routine. Let's just have it called collided. Now we'll check whether to call solid or trigger. So this is actually perfect because grass is the only thing we don't want to check any collision with. I do this with the edit tool. Alright, so that's them changed. Now, if we wanted it back to where we were a moment ago, we'd just do that, wouldn't we? So I'm going to test it like that. Seems good to me. I think I'll just check with the scroll just to make sure. Perfect. HL at that point is pointing at the right cell in the tile map already. So yeah, we can just do a similar thing that we're already doing. Well, don't even have to do that technically. I think I will just to make sure. And yeah, here's where it gets annoying. I already wrote this out if I remember right. Oh, that's everything that's solid. I don't know why I'm doing that. I can't do that. Like I always say with my code, I'm 100% sure there's better ways of doing it, like slicker ways, rather than to keep writing the same stuff. But I'll figure that out, you know, another time when I've got more experience. Right now it's good enough for me just to see it working. I don't care that the code isn't elegant. Let's not put a space there in it. In fact, what am I doing? That's wrong. Don't really even need to load A, but I will. But if you notice, it can only collide with one tile at a time, so I can just jump to one of these. So what I mean is I don't have to load this every time. God, it's solid. So I was a bit hasty deleting the whole thing, but there's a niggling thought in my mind that there's a much better way, just on the tip of my mind. But like I say, my mind says you actually should have this in mind when you're making your assets, your art, your tile sheet in art form, and everything's solid. Make sure that it comes in incremental order at the beginning or end, because solid is the same thing every time. It just doesn't let you walk into it. To me, it would make sense to do that. And of course, you could just have CP $50, or you could even have like solid tiles end, you know, which would equal OX50 or whatever, 40 or whatever it is. Then you just have jump NC or C, whether it's below or more, you know. So that's how I would do it when I do get around to making a proper tile set for the game. So all this will be gone. We won't need them all like this, hard coded in. But right now the tile sheet is all over the place. Twenty-four, 25, 26. Alright, so if it's got this far, it's not a solid. So therefore it must be a trigger. There's only a trigger or a solid. So if we hit a trigger, we're going to mirror. If we hit a solid, we don't walk there. Oh, straight away. I think I just forgot to put the rock in there. Oh, I don't know. It's not letting us in, is it? Oh, the tree's still blocking us. I think I got the values wrong. That's funny. I hope that's what the answer is. Yeah, there's not enough there. It needs to be way more. Damn. Perhaps it would have been quicker to do the other way round and only specify the triggers. Like I say, eventually I'll split the tile sheet into two so that the top half, one half will be triggers and one half will be collision. But it's not that easy. They need to be in linear order. So like the tree, for example, you can't just draw a tree on your tile map. You'd have to separate it into bits and put it in a linear line. It's not that hard. I could do it overnight, couldn't I? Pretty easily, to be honest. But I'm going to draw new tiles. So. What I'm doing right now is just loading the tile sheet on the screen for myself. I don't think there's much point showing it. Although I might as well. Someone might be watching this for the first time. So yeah, it's going to get changed into like a Red Dwarf themed tile set. I ripped this out of Final Fantasy, the game. Screenshots. I didn't even do it myself. I found screenshots and cut them up. I need to count all of them into, let's put the rock in for now. So there's 32 wide. So that's 1F. So that's number 31. Starts at 0. Yeah, so sadly there's a lot more. I went backwards. Just seemed easier, seeing as the rock's on the right. So it goes up in increments of 2. What I mean by that is, in hex, the whole line is 2 on the second one across. So that'll be like that. Still doesn't seem right, actually. Maybe it is though. Let's have a look. Do we have a 7A in the map? Yeah, we have. It's fine. So, one hell of a lot of things. Like I said, it's very important to do that thing, I think, with this kind of code to organise them. Because I laid them out in that form you just saw, i.e. like invisible, pleasing format, it's made it coding more hassle. But I took this out and split it into a line, done the same with all the other solids. It would have made drawing them more hassle. I would have had to look it up and think, okay, which tile is it? I wouldn't be able to just work it out like I just worked it out here. I would have had to physically look at the number of the tile in the art program. I guess it would have been even easier in a way because it would have just kept going up linearly. But with that said, I'm not going to be editing the artwork right now. I use GIMP, but it is convoluted. I have to then convert it with a couple of converters so that, and even though I can output an 8-bit bitmap with GIMP, it still didn't like it when I tried to convert it into a TIL file, an NXP. The GIMP output failed on the converter, but then I ran it through something called IR fan view, and that converted it into a format that this one did accept. You can tell by the size of the bitmap, the output for some reason on GIMP was wrong size, no matter what you set the setting to. That's it. You got it, Micro. I thought you'd suggested it, but I wasn't 100% sure whether it was the same one. But I found it after some Google searching, like very quickly. And it was by far the best one. I have to go into the batch convert though for some reason. I can't get it done anywhere except for on batch convert and then just do one file. Fan view, yeah, it really is great. Without that, I wouldn't be able to do it so far. I'd still be having to use ProMotion to draw my graphics. Oops. So I might just add this rock and call it a night, because what I'm going to do is actually draw some red dwarf graphics and do what I said about setting them up linearly. So all of this is a waste of time really, just to show it working. But I think I've pretty much demonstrated it working already now. But I do have a good feeling that a lot of people watched just the end of the video, so I like to summarise it with a nice actual working walkthrough if possible. Oh goodness me, I messed up there. It shouldn't be 4. I'm glad I didn't mess the one above up. Oh hey Emook. Does it, Emook? Oh, you legend, man. Is it on GitHub? Or Discord? Like I said, just repeating myself for the 10th time, this is just a waste of time hacking it in bit by bit to make sure it knows it's solid. Solid as a rock, literally. I don't think I've done any other items, just the rocks and trees. One other thing somewhere. Yeah, I hate this 2 speed. It seems not even that smooth always. Perfect. Perfect. I've got to get that Street Fighter 2 sound effect. Say it too many times. Not yet, a few little things to finish. Okay, nice one, Mook. I can't wait to get hold of that copy of that version of that app. I'm going to slow him back down to 2 speed, to 1, because I just really don't like it. Yo, thanks for the follow, White Tea. Good to meet you, my man. Welcome to the Retro Club. I'll look out for it on Discord. I'm back to work tomorrow, as you probably know if you're a regular on the channel, but always going to find time for coding, just not quite as much. I'm going to demand 2 or 3 weeks off soon because I haven't had a holiday in like a year and 9 months. I've had like the odd 5 days off, but never like 2 or 3 weeks. And I really want to smash out, like get loads of stuff out on the channel. I'm just really having fun doing it, basically. The next dev. And don't get me wrong, I know this code is horrible, you know, like lots of bits of it are really nasty, but it is actually working though. And yeah, oh, I wanted to change it now to 1 speed. Just so that I can show it off. I'm basically winding up now, guys. Hey ZZ man, how are you doing, mate? Unfortunately, you've joined just at the end. I've just fixed the scrolling collision. We fixed the normal collision pretty quickly on the map stuff, but scrolling became a problem because of the way I hacked it in. Like the way the scrolling's handled is quite nasty. But if you look now, it's absolutely flawless. It shouldn't be colliding on that tree though. That's some other bug. And that mirroring is just to show you that we've hit a trigger rather than a collision, but you know, rather than a solid collision. That's just a debug sort of thing. Of course, I can check. It's weird that it doesn't always. Something. Oh, of course, it's not checking collision when I stand still, because I changed that so that it didn't do that. I'm very good, thank you for asking, man. So all we need to do is add the different bits to make this collision work, like the volcano. I didn't add their numbers there where I was just doing that long list. But I'm actually going to change it, like I said, into a linear array of tiles where all the solids come first. That would have made life so much easier with this nasty thing. But yeah, that's a job for me to do overnight. It's not one that would be a good watch on the video, and it'll probably slow me down no end trying to do it on stream. So yeah, I'll get that done though, and then tomorrow night I'm starting at about 11 o'clock UK time. There's a hell of a lot of my videos on YouTube now as well. If you're bored, definitely go check them out. Retro Code TV. Give us a subscription if you can. And yeah, hope you all have a lovely night. I'm off to enjoy what's left of my evening before I go back to work. This was a snap. It was pretty easy, to be fair, Micro. Yeah, good night, guys. Have a good one. See you tomorrow, hopefully. I'll be here.